Hola amigos, bien o no, y saludos desde Medellín. Hoy quiero compartir algunas ideas en cómo podemos mejorar nuestra fluidez con la ayuda para leer en voz alta y también por qué nosotros en inglés leer en esta forma específica para expresar. So ese es el tema de hoy. So, hello again from Medellin. Theme today, I'm going to look again at reading, how this helps us with our fluency, and I'm going to try and show you with some indicated examples how we use pauses and stress to help us with our expression as we read in English. Because the difference between English and Spanish is that we don't use lots of accent type punctuation, no hay tilde, to help us with which word is the important word. We have to show that through our tone of voice, really. And also we use pauses to some extent. So I'm going to take a piece of reading, which ironically is a topic called reading, from this little book by A.C. Grayling, The Meaning of Things. I'll read this through to you and I'll offer some other thoughts about how we can use readings really to help us in different ways with our fluency. The first thing to say is, whatever you're reading, one of the first things to try and do when you've read part of the text is to see, could you summarize that? Could you explain that in your own words quite simply? Not to translate it, but could you just explain it? Like, what do you see happen? That will help you perhaps to use more of your vocabulary, particularly if you do this in the new language as well, to see if you can explain what it is you've just read. So if we read this one through, to read is to enter other points of view. It is to be an invisible observer of circumstances which might never be realized in one's own life. It is to meet people and situations exceeding in kind and number the possibilities open to individual experience. Okay, so what's he talking about? Well, he's talking about reading and different things you get from reading. You get to see, understand, and in some ways to meet other people that you wouldn't normally have contact with. That's roughly what he's talking about. So once you've been able to summarize briefly what it is you've read, have a think about, in the text you're looking at, how do we know when to pause and when to put stress? Well, there are a few clues here, but not many. We have 2 commas. That's definitely a pause. But if you see as well here, the other thing we don't have is any other punctuation. So how are we going to guess when to stop? Well, in this sense, these smaller words, to, an, of, in, and, the, these types of words help us see a change in the theme of the sentence. This is where we're usually comparing one idea with another one. Some type of comparison. Could be a negative, could be a continuation of the same theme, but usually it's something where we've got one element and then we've added another element. So you've got one idea plus another idea. At that point where the second idea is added into the sentence, that's your pivot. That's the point when you can normally pause, and you can continue that practice as you add different elements into the sentence. So if you look again at, I'm going to read this again, have another look at when I pause. To read is to enter other points of view. It is to be an invisible observer of circumstances which might never be realized in one's own life. It is to meet people and situations exceeding in kind and number the possibilities open to individual experience. Okay, so there are the pauses, but what else did I do with the voice? Well, just after the pause, I'm putting a slight amount of emphasis on the next word, because that word is often the key word in the next part of the sentence. That's the thing I need you to hear to help you understand what I'm talking about. So really we're using emphasis on the key words, and the pause is to, again, indicate a change is coming, and then we use the emphasis to show you what's the new idea. Listen to that one again, but this time look at the words I'm emphasizing. To read is to enter other points of view. It is to be an invisible observer of circumstances which might never be realized in one's own life. It is to meet people and situations exceeding in kind and number the possibilities open to individual experience. Okay, there we go. But what if I don't use either pauses or stress? What happens then? Let me show you. To read is to enter other points of view. It is to be an invisible observer of circumstances which might never be realized in one's own life. It is to meet people and situations exceeding in kind and number the possibilities open to individual experience. Said all the words. Was it easy to listen to? Was it expressive? Did it have any emotion? No. So there we go. Something to think about. Different ways you can use the reading to either check your understanding, but also start to look for the patterns that help us see where we should pause and what words we should put stress on, which ones we should emphasize. But notice I'm not putting a lot of extra stress on it. The voice is not kind of going up and down, up and down. It's only moving slightly, but it's just to show you what are the key words in the next part of the sentence that I'm reading. There we go. So I hope you find this one useful. Déjame saber en los comentarios, como siempre. But for now, from Regine, we'll say cheerio.